the Dode. The night of All Hallows Eve was a time of costume and celebration for most of the world, but for the northern village of Fangette, it was 2 nights of dread. The claws of winter had taken hold of the town, so cold that even the Trom mountains would shiver with avalanches. The sun had all but abandoned the north, and nothing but perpetual darkness await the months ahead, at least for those lucky enough to survive these nights. A curse lay upon this town, the curse of Theoris, a witch who survived the ducking stool and screamed her last upon the pyre. For the town chieftain, Theoris' story was ancient history, but for the last member of All Hallows Watch, it was the beginning. Agni sat in a canvas tent with one of his fellow comrades, the hissing of their gas lamp as these 2 gents bowed nervously to the ground. No creatures of the night calling out from afar, no wind, just stillness, as if the world had held its breath. How Fangette Cemetery should be at this late hour. Breaking the contemplating stare, Agni peels the scabbard of his Dutch horseman's sabre, the sword of Dode Blad, for it was used only for these nights. Oscillating the sharpening stone over the blade's edge, sanding away the rusted blood, a reminder of last year's Dode Rising. The Dode are late this year, go and patrol the graves, Havar. Nodding, Havar pulls up his cloth hood, taking a lantern and leaving the safety of their tent. Wandering into a sea of moonlit graves, Havar enters the heart of the cemetery as a stone begins to tilt. Lantern in one hand, machete in the other. He leans in for a closer look. The earth in front of the grave begins to rise. The soil bubbles, and a hairy skull pops out with hollow eye sockets staring at him. Havar hacks at this Dode, trying to lay it back in its hole. So distracted with his terror, a hand grabs his leg. Squirming, he falls to the ground as another Dode crawls over him. He breaks free, but the Dode is too quick, grabbing hold of Havar's arm, tearing his skin with its needle-pointed fingers. He cannot escape. Agni runs up. He knows there's only one way to save his friend. Brandishing the Dode blood to Havar's arm. After a few strikes, Havar is free, but rolling around in a pool of his own blood. Agni uses his belt to tie off Havar's severed limb. Slinging him over his shoulder, heroically, he hacks his way through the other rising Dode, scoring out of the cemetery, knowing that dawn will soon approach, and the Dode will sleep once more. But what is dawn for the north at this time of year? The sun skims over the horizon for a few short hours, only to be swallowed by the increasing longevity of these nights. After leaving Havar in the capable hands of the apothecary, Agni knows that Fangette will be safe for tonight. What about tomorrow night? And what about the fact that he is the only one brave enough to protect all of the town's people from the Dode Rising? Something must be done. The truth over the town's curse must be found out. But how to get to Lockie, the suspected perpetrator and town chieftain no less? For Lockie was greedy and very powerful, a man of insatiable lust. Enraged, Agni falls through the door to be greeted by Gretha. For too long now have I protected our town from the Dode, and yet no thanks from Lockie. Hush, be patient, my sot. Slamming the Dode lad on the table, Gretha and Agni come up with a plan to end this curse once and for all, but a blood sacrifice must be made. As there was the last words of Theoris from the flames that consumed her. Gretha is terrified that Havar's grisly face may repeat itself on her husband some night, but she has no choice but to go along with their plan. The following evening approaches, and Gretha has spent the afternoon outside Lockie's palace, waiting for him to surface from his continuous drunken state. He emerges from his palace alone, but only to ensure that his house is secure for the second Dode riding. No concern for his own townsfolk. Here's the chance. Gretha swans over in a flirtatious manner, twirling her dress, caressing his cheek with a finger. Lockie's piggy face glows whilst licking his puffy lips. Creeping up behind, Agni smothers his head with a sack, yanking him to the ground. As Lockie kicks in the air, Gretha binds his legs in twine, carrying Lockie through the deserted streets. Next stop, an old yew tree in the cemetery. Muffled cries as Agni and Gretha lash him to the tree. The sun is dripping fast. Not long for Lockie to confess. As Agni pulls the sack off the face, Lockie is stuck for words. Agni draws the Dode Blad to Lockie's throat. Trembling, he cries and his bladder empties. Gretha slaps him, only then does he start talking about Theorus. The previous apothecary with locks of brown hair, Fangham's most prominent healing beauty. The one soul Lockie wanted to possess above all else. Consumed with abstinence from her, he tried her as a witch, but much to his dismay, she actually was one. As the flames engrossed her, she cursed Fanget, that the one she couldn't cure would rise 2 nights of the year until an equal sacrifice was made. Hordes of does spring from their graves, interrupting Lockie's confession. Agni and Gretha leave Lockie to his destined fate, leaving the cemetery and Lockie's screams far behind. Will the town of Fanget be freed with Lockie's death? Thank you very much.
Well done.